in life, there are certain scenarios and experiences that we go through, and it brings us to this point where we become very authentic. Tonight, I'm going to have a conversation with an author who I admire so much. And in this conversation tonight, I truly believe what she has to say is going to cause a shift in your mind tonight. So I look forward to having that conversation with her. And while I'm in the green room on standby, I'm excited to have this conversation with Fran. She has been doing such an amazing job with, and I see Fran. All right, let's see. Hi, Candice. It works. I don't know what is going on. How are
Fran,
you?
I don't know. This is sometimes technology does things to us that we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this evening, I still hear fireworks going off, and I know it's not because of the 4th of July. It's because we're going to have this fiery conversation tonight. And I know for sure that conversations like this, that disrupts in a good way, it is really to help persons
Mm-hmm.
come out from that dark place, come out from that place of feeling stuck. And I am just excited for us to have this conversation. Now, we're really supposed to be having this series on the Be Pure Bold page. So, Fran, it's your series. You tell me where we're going. Where we heading next?
Listen, there's always glitches with the first episodes with the first whatever. So I will trial again going
Okay.
live on my on my Instagram. But if not, we don't have much time to waste. We want to get into this book and talk about it. So if I have to revert back and come back to your Instagram, that's fine. We'll just pull the video and I'll be able to
Mhm.
post it on my Instagram, and then we'll work about it for next week because we don't. Time is money, girl. We don't have time to be wasting. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So, she said, Sasha is saying to add you as a collaborator after. So that's cool. So
Okay.
it will be able to be posted to your page.
Okay, so we can stay here and we'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. So let's
We
let's
got the we got the green light in the background, so that's good. That's good. So, you know what? In a world where there's so much AI going on, right?
Mhm.
And there's so much fake news, there's so much things happening. It's really hard for somebody to sift through all of the noise that is happening and really be authentic.
Mhm.
And through your book and your journey, that's what I got to witness.
Thank you.
That authenticity and that struggle, which is real. And a lot of persons, they post the results, but for you to come to a place of writing the journey, that could not have been an easy process. And I know reliving some of the things that you've been through, it has also purified you in a sense, and cleanse you to this point where you could show up as your authentic self and share with persons that, hey, I'm a real person, I'm not AI. I mean, yes, my hair looks lovely and my skincare is amazing, but I am a real person who went through something that could have cost me my life. But
Mm,
thank God by His grace, I'm still here. I
yes.
want to start off with a quote that I saw in chapter one. We
Mhm.
are unpacking 10 chapters together.
Mhm.
And I saw in chapter one, you shared the quote by Grant, is it Cardone? I
Mhm.
hope I pronounced it correct. And the quote went like this: when your why is clear, your how is easy.
Mhm.
And I just want to sit with that for a bit and let's just have that conversation. Like, I know you didn't just pull that coat out of thin air and said, you know what, this looks cute. I'll slap it on here and make sure it opens my book. Like, why this was necessary for chapter one, and what does this mean to you?
Because chapter one was determining my why, right? And that's what I
Mhm.
want people to understand from the first chapter that they read it. You'll hear and read about some of the things because this will be also visual and audio.
some of the things that I had to go through, which brought me to my breaking point, which brought me to developing my why, which is a framework. So I that quote, you'll realize there's several quotes throughout this book.
Mhm.
If you have the opportunity to read the entire thing, you'll realize that there are several quotes, and each quote means something to me for each chapter. And it was something that I had to implement and utilize in my life as well to get to that point of just like be bold and being on this journey.
Mhm. And I mean, it's one thing saying to be bold, but when you are faced with situations that force you to be bold and there's no other option, no other streets, um, it takes something from you and you also gain something from it as well. So I know there's a lot of sensitive things in your story, but let's unpack this one together. All right. Now, in the meantime, I just want to find out who is here with us because this is not just a dialogue. This is a conversation with a community, and we are encouraging you to be bold because this life, being anything other than bold, it really doesn't do us a great service. I want to say good evening to the everyday leader. Happy that you are here. Put a one in the chat if in this season right now, we are in July, we are almost like we are like dead center of 2025, and I know a lot of persons are thriving and setting their goals and reevaluating. Put a one in the chat if right now in this season you feel like you have no other choice but to be bold. Let me see who is on with us in this conversation
Putting a
and as
one.
we unpack it together.
We said put a one.
Yes, put a one in the chat.
Okay.
And hi to Lucky. Good to see you. Good to see you. And we want you to invite some friends. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna see that it look like a paper plane arrow. Just click it and send it to the persons in your community because we want them to be a part of this conversation as well. So we see the ones in the chat. You
Mhm.
have to be bold. And later on, we will talk about this bold acronym. It's not gonna be tonight. But you'll have to stay with us for 10 weeks. Somebody said 10.
10 weeks. That's a long time. Long time. So
I know. I know, but guess what? It's not easy
yeah.
unpacking this in just one sitting. So that's why we're having this conversation. So, Fran, I want to find out something from you. There was something that, I mean, you had a lot of highs and lows, but there was this specific breaking point that you got to. And it was do or die, literally. I want you to take us back to the scene of that breaking point. Tell us what happened.
Mhm.
What did that look like? And tell us from your soul. If your soul could talk tonight, which we know we're going to hear from, tell us what were some of the emotions you were going through at that breaking point and breathe, breathe with us and share it with us so we could lean into this story together.
Yeah, that's no worries. So everything started at 25 for me, right? It was my 25th birthday. I am a Scorpio girl, so November. And I remember leaving my 25th birthday with a friend of mine. We went to a lounge in Boston. It's called Yvonne's. And what should be a joyous celebration, my 45-minute commute home was not joyous at all. It was filled with tears, driving on the highway, just really, really depressed, just anxious. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm 25. Like,
Mm,
I am halfway between no longer early 20s and I'm
mhm,
rapidly approaching my 30s. And in
mhm,
that moment, I remember just crying and crying. And I got home. And it was during those tears and that depressive episode that, like, I had a aha moment, sort of say, right? And it was just like, I have to do something. So why now? Was one of my thing, and what am I willing to give up to get to my goals? And the more I started to dig a little bit deeper, that's when I started to determine in my why, which earlier I talked about a framework. You'll have to read the book, to know what the W stands for, the H stands for, but I'll give you a little bit of insight. The
mhm,
why was saying yes to myself. We say yes to marriage, we say yes to a dress, we say yes to a job, we say yes to every single thing else. So in that moment, I had to say yes to myself, and I encourage people to say yes to themselves all the time. It's one of the
mhm,
biggest investments you can make. And just saying yes to myself and got me here, got me writing a book, got me on Instagram Live at this time of the night when your girl should be in bed sleeping. But nonetheless, we are here to just like unpack it and just talk about it a little bit more. And I'm really grateful.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that you're taking this time to share this with us because, I mean, some people write a book and they just say, okay, read all about it. But you are saying, let's talk all about it. And I'm
Yeah.
very excited about that. Now, you said something, you were going through a depression. Now, this is something that a lot of persons, especially um, those who grew up in homes that
Yeah.
um, they ask you, what are you depressed about? You have a roof over your head, you have shoes on your feet, you
Yeah.
have ketchup on whatever. I
Hmm.
guess some people don't use ketchup too, but you have things going for you. What are you depressed about? And you are telling us that it was in that breaking point that you were able to to get strength
Hmm.
to make a decision and evaluate, where am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? Now, that is not an easy thing for persons to do. So I'm curious, did you have like a guardian angel saying, hey, Fran, I'm here for you. This is what's going to happen? Or like, why do you think it was necessary for that breaking point to happen to get to this point? Because some people, they go through a depression and they tell themselves, you know what? I just can't do it anymore. I'm just going to let life happen to me other than I happen to life.
Yeah.
So tell us, what, looking back now and going through back this entire experience, why do you believe the breakdown was necessary for this breakthrough of being bold?
Because had it not been to that, when you're at your lowest point in life, and I like to just give examples and give a real life examples, right? So when you look at like Adele, she was going
Mhm,
through a breakup when she made one of her most popular music, right? When you're at your lowest depths, when you're going through those moments that you feel like life can't get any worse and you're just
mhm,
down, that's when something magical happens. That's when you're able to just produce and be creative and create something that can be magical and inspiring and
mhm,
empowering people. So I think that, and I'm very religious as well.
mhm,
So I do believe that, God, the universe had definitely
mhm,
had something, a little bit of grace on me because it's not easy, but I'm definitely grateful that I had God with me for sure. But also just the practices of knowing that I really had to dig deep and
mhm,
digging deep and being vulnerable and being depressed and going through everything else really helped me to create something so beautiful and magical that even when I read this book, it is so therapeutic and healing for me as well. It feels like each time I read it, I'm learning something new about myself, and I want people to be able to learn something new about themselves each time they read this book and challenge
mhm,
themselves. You'll see how
mhm.
the format is, and it's definitely an experience.
Mm-hmm. And I want to ask, just seeing that all of us are part of this experience and conversation, those that are live with us, do you know somebody who's going through depression? Do you yourself feel like you are navigating, um, that breaking point of deciding, should I give up? Should I throw in the towel? Or should I just keep pushing and show up? Now, I'm curious, Fran. Every time I see you, you are well put together. Like I take forever to make a center part, and you just glow and make this thing look very natural. Like when you were going through that season, were you still glowing like this, or was it evident that you were going through something?
It was evident that I was going through something for sure. Like I'm a very emotional person, so you can tell when my emotions are pure. And I wear it on, like people say you wear your emotions on your sleeve. My facial expressions don't hide how I'm feeling. So if I'm happy, if I'm sad, I'm depressed, it's definitely live. You can see it. But no, this took some effort.
Mm,
This took some effort to get to this point. I'm not always glowing, and I appreciate the compliment, but when you're going through your dark phases of life and those vulnerability, when you feel like you can't move, sometimes your physical appearance isn't going to be the best.
mm,
But hey, I try my best to just get up and do what I got to do. And then once we talk a little bit more about next week and talking about that chapter, you'll see.
mhm. So, of course, where I sit, I got a sneak peek into the book.
Yeah.
And part of the book, I'm going to read this line. It says, the bitter taste of depression sat on my tongue. triggered by the hissing lies echoing in my ears. When I read that, I was like, all right, okay. I love it. And so this is a line in your book.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Caribbean, I'm from the Caribbean, you're from the Caribbean, and this is not something that we really hear. And now that we both got this US experience and seeing what this global world looks like when they talk about mental health, mental illness. And by the way, just to put a quick plug here, a lot of people they mix up mental health with mental illness. And a lot of people think that, they don't want to hear anything about mental health because they have this stigma to it. But mental health is something that we should maintain to stay bold and pure.
Yes.
But if we don't stay bold and pure, right, this could lean into us depleting ourselves, and it goes into mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depression is not a word we really hear growing up, as we shared before. So I want to find out, like, was there a moment in your journey where you felt vulnerable and comfortable and safe enough to tell somebody, hey, I believe I'm depressed. I believe I've been sitting in this dark space for a very long time, not too sure how to climb out, and I'm just in survival mode, pushing through. Um, like, how difficult was it to write about this in a book? Something like a book that is permanent. You can't take back. It's already out there. The world knows it. But guess what? You are set free
Mm-hmm.
from that experience. So could you share for us how difficult was it for you to express this in a book, knowing that all the communities you're connected to is going to read it? What does that look like?
So for me, when I had this aha moment as well, and with the name change of my Instagram, I had a different name before, Be Pure Bold, and the pure in part of it means to be authentic and to be pure to who you are. So if you're going to be writing something and putting yourself out there, it has to be authentic because I'm a real person, as you said. I'm not AI. So people that actually know me, that I went to high school with, that I went to school with, that I went to university with, or colleagues. They know me. So I have to ensure that whatever I'm putting out there is authentic and it's pure and it is real, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to mental health in the Caribbean culture or just overall on a global standpoint, there's still that stigma. A lot of us don't feel comfortable expressing that and talking about it. But I believe, and you made a valid point, having the first real experience being in the United States has definitely made us a little bit more comfortable talking about that. But if we were still in the Caribbean is doing a lot better with their mental health initiatives and all that. But put it in a book, it was needed. You can read it, you can hear it. And I think that when you look at my Instagram, you don't see a woman that will typically go through depression, because depression doesn't have you can't tell if someone's going through depression, right?
Mm,
They can look like this, they can look like you, they can look like Dominic, they can look like my mom, they can look like Seychelle, they can look like whoever, going to work, doing about their day-to-day lives and doing everything, and you can't tell that they're depressed. So it's important to share that, you have a digital story, you have a digital blueprint or a footprint, but to just be authentic to yourself and to show that, hey, depression is real. This is something that I go through. And the more you read the book, you'll see that I talk about it in the colder months. I do not like the cold, which is often why I do travel a lot frequently, to clear my mind and to get away and escape from the cold, to help me to
mhm,
think. So to answer your question in a brief synopsis, it was very important for me to add it in the book. I needed that message to be out there clear. I'm also a psychiatric nurse practitioner and I'm board certified in that. So it's important for me to talk about that, because what if one of my patients Googles my name and she talks nothing about mental health but wants to treat me, you know?
right.
So it was important for me to just add that. And for the people that I know, friends, family, um, we all have our highs and our
Mm.
lows.
You said something really interesting there. You travel a lot to clear your mind. And when we were in the planning stages of this series, you revealed things to myself and the team, and you said one of the things you like to do, or one of the activities that you did that got you through, was to meditate and meditation. And you said you're a nurse. I've never seen a nurse meditate in a corner, like, just take some time off because they're always on their feet, they're always moving, they're always dealing with clients. I mean, patients. So, and of course, you need patience to deal with patients. So, no pun intended. But I'm trying to figure out how is it possible for somebody who is navigating their way out of depression, um, being a nurse, showing up for so many persons, being there for your family. How do we begin to meditate? What does that look like? Could you give us some tips on that aspect of it?
Yeah, so there's various versions of meditation. I like to do a silent meditation. So that is, let's say now I wake up at 4:56 in the morning. You don't have to do that protocol, right? But whenever you get up, it's just, taking that moment of silence for yourself. Or that is
Mm,
just working on your breathing. I also used to, so when I first started meditation, I implemented frequencies. I am big on frequencies. I think music is the way of life. It's music to your soul. It really does impact your mood. So there are certain frequencies that I utilized when I first started meditation, and I will share some of that as well. I do a lot of posts on my Instagram, so people can go through my page and see about that. But that's where I first started with meditation with frequencies. Then, as I evolved, I did silent meditation, and I just did meditation where in nature. There's so many forms of meditation, and Be Pure Bold stands for identifying your version of wellness. So what works for me may not necessarily work for you, which is why I always like people to just challenge themselves and empower
mm,
themselves to find your method of meditation. What if silent meditation doesn't work for you because your mind and your thoughts are constantly racing? Then you may need to implement a little bit of frequency. So 5 hertz or
mm.
anything else, just to help you get through the day. So meditation was definitely a big key for me.
I want to challenge our community here live with us in the chat. Could you put for us in the chat where you joining us from? And tell me your favorite place in nature to just be silent, to just relax, to unwind. And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask Fran, because Fran, we want to get to know you some more, right?
Mhm.
Um, where are you from, and what is your favorite place to unwind in nature? Just give us some information on that.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica, so don't mind the
Whoop,
accent.
whoop.
We go between American and Jamaican real quick, so don't mind that. But my favorite place to meditate, I'm such a lover of water,
Mm,
waterfalls, ocean. Just those soothing sounds alone helps me to like think clearer, helps me to meditate, and so that's one of the things that I really, really enjoy. Water for me is amazing. With a coconut though. So I need water with a coconut water. Without those two combinations, it's just not going to work for me. I
oh, so she needs to be hydrated by coconut water with all the good minerals while she's absorbing the sea breeze, or she's watching the river or the lake. She needs to see that water and be calm. Now, Fran, as we come to this part of our conversation, because we have 10 weeks to unpack together, and I want persons to really come prepared
mm-hmm,
with doing something, one thing new each week.
mm-hmm,
Because as we are stacking on habits and we are building this movement and
mm-hmm,
we are getting to understand who are we at the core,
mm-hmm,
when we go to these places in nature or we meditate, we get a chance to silence the world and hear from God, hear what's happening within us, and it's very important. Now, so week one, right? Chapter one, your challenge, everyone that is watching this live and those who will be watching the replay, you have to find one place in nature that you could sit still for about 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just taking the atmosphere, be grateful, have that gratitude flowing, and come back next week and tell us in the chat, in the comments, what that experience was like, because we want to hear from you. My I want to close up this conversation with this question, Fran. And now that the book is complete and you have all um, the content would have definitely affected the way you meditate, the way you view your life, the way you value your life. Um, what did meditation and that silence look like before writing the book? And what does it look like now after writing the book?
One word, which would be clarity. So
Mm,
when I first started, like I said, because the racing thoughts and everything else, I had to utilize frequencies to kind of help me just to distract my mind. Now
mhm,
I prefer silent meditation because my mind is a little bit more clear, based on all the work that I had to be doing on myself, both physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually as well. So clarity, that's one word. I'm very
mm,
simple. And you had asked our post a statement earlier. You're like, you're a nurse when you guys don't really have time, or people in healthcare in general. Um, I always like to say, and I was having a conversation with a friend earlier, I said, and I like to use real world examples because people understand it a little bit better. When
mhm.
you're doing a plank for a minute or even 30 seconds, it feels like the longest time in your life.
Right.
Try doing some box breathing. Try doing a little bit of a meditation. Put in your AirPods or your headphones and do something for 30 seconds to a minute. It's just having those breaks that you can implement into yourself. We're humans. We need time to just breathe. We need time to just rest, and meditation is definitely something that I would recommend as well. So figure out what works for you. You already posed a challenge. So is it something in nature? Find something. But also, if nature isn't cracked up for every human, which we know that. Just find a sacred space. That's what I challenge it as. Find a sacred space that works for you, that you feel safe, that you can activate, even if it's for a minute, for 5 minutes, and then just make sure that your space is safe and it's sacred for
Mhm,
you. It's your version of wellness, not Candice, not mine, not your grandparents, not your partner or partners. So I would say that would be something to definitely incorporate as you do Candice's challenge.
mhm. So, folks, we have 2 minutes left just for you all to post some questions for Fran. She'll be able to answer your questions. And one thing I'm taking away from this conversation, Fran, is this. Um, and I'll be honest with myself. Sometimes I am afraid to sit in that silence because I'm afraid to hear what comes up because I'll have to be forced to take action. I'll have to do something different. So sometimes I keep busy and active, and that sitting still scares me because I'm like, what is happening in the silence? But in that silence, there's so much transformation happening. So we want to hear from persons in the chat. What's your favorite place to meditate? What are some of the things that you want to make sure and be around? Fran needs coconut water, so you all know if you're inviting her to spend some time with you, make sure you have your freshly cut coconut water, right?
Non-negotiable.
With an umbrella and all these good things. And I love it because the truth is, like, my husband, he don't like to drink bottled water. He likes to drink coconut water. He bougie, right? So it's going to like cleanse his inside. Somebody says coconut water is like holy water for the soul, you know? So somebody says they like to meditate in bed. Wow.
I like that. I like that.
Mhm,
Like I said, I wake up at 4:56 now. So most of the time the meditation is either laying in silence in bed, or
mhm,
I am outside, or I'm kneeling, I'm praying, or whatever the case is. So I like that. I like that, you have to find what works for you. So if you're not physically ready to get out of bed at like 5 o'clock in the morning, it's your sacred space, it's your bed. Enjoy it. I don't have a problem with that as long as it's working for you and you're implementing into that you're
mhm,
implementing that into your life on a daily basis to make it a routine. Remember, it is so one of the things that I had mentioned in my book as well. It is a lifetime contractual agreement with your mind, body, and soul. Your wellness in general, your whole body wellness is a lifetime contractual agreement with your mind, body, and soul. So it's really up to you to be the CEO of your life and your wellness, or I like to say your chief wellness officer, so CWO. I'm big on acronyms. I think it's the healthcare person in me, so it helps me to remember things a little bit easier.
mhm. And Ren spoke about her bed, and I quickly went to my Bible app, and it says in Psalm 63:6, when I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches. So like, what a
Right.
better place after a long day, like after this conversation, I encourage everybody just sit on your bed in silence and just say, wow. what really happened today? What made me smile? What are some of the things that really made me feel, like my nervous system was going through it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then ask yourself, okay, what will work for me? And I think is a very good practice. Fran, thank you so much for unpacking chapter one with us. Pre-orders are coming soon, soon, soon. So we are just giving persons a head start in
Yeah.
getting this information into their soul. So when they get the book in their hand, they can go through their own journey. And we want to encourage you to be pure, to be bold, to be authentic,
Mm-hmm.
because you deserve it and you need it. And we need you in the world to show up. So, Fran, do you have any closing thoughts for us? Before we end the conversation tonight in preparation for week 2 next week, same place, same time, Monday.
So one thing I always like to end with is just something that you're grateful for. The reason why I always like to end with is even if I'm talking with my patients or anything like that and they're having a bad day, it's when you can identify one thing that you're grateful for, it kind of it changes your thought process and your perspectives. And that can have a big shift on your mindset, which your mindset affects everything else as well, right? Your mental health, your financial health, your physical health. So I would say to just do a self audit at yourself, like Renee said, in bed or wherever you are, and find one thing that you're grateful for. One of the things that I'm grateful for, it is family. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like my mom is on here. I think she just logged off, but she was on here. And it's just important to just have family, and I'm grateful for that, the support, the love, and the connection. So I always like to ask Candice, what's one thing that you're grateful for, and people that are watching as well. Think about one thing that you're grateful for, and with it, you don't have to share it with us. If you feel comfortable sharing it with us, absolutely, that's fine. That would be wonderful to keep the conversation going. But
Mhm.
that would be one thing I like to end with, is just one thing that you're grateful for. So, Candice, what's one thing that you're grateful for?
I'm grateful that, you know, I have the ability to speak, to ask questions, and have conversation because, as you said earlier on, it brings clarity for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get clarity, I feel like I have so much capacity to do more because I'm set free from something. So I'm happy. I'm grateful for this conversation as a reminder for me to do the practical work and apply things like meditation, drinking your coconut water, and just being out in nature. So I'm grateful for that.
Perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I also want to say thank you for making time out of your schedule as well, for really going through the motion and unpacking this book with me. And we're with each other for the next 9 weeks. So
Yeah,
the next 9 weeks until this book is officially ready to be
to hit
delivered.
the world.
Yeah, yeah, I'm ready for it. As you can tell, like I'm nervous, but this is a happy nervous feeling.
So put ready in the chat if you're ready for this book to come out in the next 9 weeks or so. And we are very excited that you are part of this conversation. We want you to invite someone next week. And we want to make sure that you are part of this conversation as well. So, Fran, tell the people one sentence that you want them to go with and probably meditate on.
Oh, this is simple. I don't have anything. This is just be bold. Whatever that looks like to you, be bold. Like honestly, we live in a world where there's so many comparisons. We want to look like this person. We want to be like that person. We're looking at social media and we're feeling down. Our relationships or our financial status is just in disarray or whatever the case is. I would say just be bold. Take that leap and just figure out what works for you. Now is the time. We're not getting any younger. We're
Mm.
like fine wine, all of us. We're aging wisdom. So just take the opportunity to just be bold in whatever adventure, whatever area of your life that you need it to be. Honestly, that would be my thing. Just be bold, honestly, whatever that looks like to you.
Indeed. So before we exit the live, just type "be bold" in the chat. Everybody type "be bold" in the chat. I'm typing it. Be bold in the chat. And we'll see you all next week. Same time, same place. Love you all.
Thank you, Candice. Hopefully we don't have any tech issues on my end next week. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you so much for facilitating. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. And thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.